Hello, my name is Katie Klotz. I'm the community manager at RoboNation, and I'm excited to welcome you to today's webinar, Level Up Your SeaPerch Regional. Today, we're joined by RoboNation's Education Project Coordinator, Jim Nance. Jim brings a ton of hands-on experience running outstanding regional events in his area, and we're so lucky to have him on the RoboNation team and here with us today to share what he's learned about hosting successful competition. Please drop your questions in the chat as we go, and we'll do our best to get to as many as possible. With that, I'll hand it over to Jim to get started.
Well, hey, chat. Welcome. My name's Jim Nance, and this is our Regional Competition Resources webcast. So we're going to go over some points here that myself and my partner, Alan Phipps, have learned over the years of hosting regional tournaments down here in South Florida. And I'm sure many of you are experienced regional hosts, but I'm sure there's a lot that I can learn from you. And hopefully some of these tips are new to you and will help you have a successful regional competition as well. Going to share with you a little bit about our rapid deploy obstacle courses, how we use mission course animations as judge trainings, and some other tips and tricks. Regional competitions, first and foremost, really matter. This is the big show for so many of those students out there in your region. Only, a couple teams end up getting that bid to go to the international competition, which is absolutely amazing, life-changing, in fact, for a lot of students. But for the majority of those students, this is the culminating feature of their SeaPerch experience. So your regional competition really and truly matters. And the strongest regional programs treat this competition as a community effort, not just a single event. This is an opportunity to connect those students with industry professionals and universities, make those career connections, and develop the soft skills along with those technical skills they've been developing through their SeaPerch experience. This is also a great opportunity to bring all of these interested parties, these stakeholders together and strengthen your regional STEM ecosystem. This shouldn't just be about your community organization, your school, your district. This really should be about your entire STEM ecosystem. And as rich as you can make that, it's just going to pay off rewards. And it's also really going to prepare your local teams to shine at the International SeaPerch Challenge. We all want to root for our local heroes, and this is your opportunity to strengthen those teams. With that said, you've got to build partnerships. These successful competitions are rarely run by just one school or community organization. And if they are, they're going to get tired year after year. So if you can draw on other sources and involve those stakeholders in the success of your regional, it's only going to serve you and your region better. Everybody's area looks a little bit different, and you've got different interested parties and opportunities to reach out to wherever you are. Some ideas might be other neighboring school districts. Down here in South Florida, we've got 3 big counties that sort of run one into another. And we made it to where it was a cooperative effort between these counties to run regionals, to not only come together and support each other when running these regionals, but also have our students have the opportunity to travel to the neighboring districts and participate in their regionals as well. Reaching out to your local universities is great. This is a recruiting tool for the universities. It's an opportunity for their students, their engineering programs, their student teachers to get out there and support STEM in the community as well. Maybe they've got a JROTC or an ROTC program. Those are great volunteers to help support your regional as well. Community colleges are playing a larger and larger role in the educational landscape and just continual education. Those are another great resource, as are career centers. I've got a great tip from one of our other regional coordinators that they've got a strong career center, and that's who they lean on to help their SeaPerch courses. They actually have a class that a big part of that class is reading blueprints. So they read those technical build manuals and put together beautiful, consistent courses for them to use year in and year out. STEM nonprofits and museums uh, might want to sponsor the event, put up a banner, or even better, get out there, interact with the community, meet some of the kids. Uh, if you have a local dive shop, they may be chomping at the opportunity to put some of their divers or student divers in the water and give them some free tanks to help and volunteer for the day. Down here in South Florida, we've got what they call $1 billion marine industry. So we were able to reach out to local marine industry vendors and have some people come in. Navy League chapters are great. Local Coast Guard, if you have them, military bases, if they're around in your area. Of course, maker spaces. Getting some of those maker adults out and involved in this community is a great way to bridge some support structures that might later support those schools in the area. Offer free laser cutting or 3D printing assistance to schools that might not have those resources otherwise. And of course, our community-based organizations, things like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H, Ag Extension Centers, Boys and Girls Clubs. The YMCA was a great partner for us in South Florida as well. A regional competition that feels like a big deal to the participants will end up enriching the STEM experience in the classrooms throughout the year. And think STEM sports here, right? We know what a big football game, might feel like, or a big basketball game. This should be the big show regionally in a place for their students to show off to their community, and a lot of times for their parents to see this activity for the first time. So you are sure familiar with the pool competition elements of SeaPerch that take place at the international competition, the obstacle course and the mission course, which of course changes every year, and the design documentation. Why these are important to have a regional competition, especially the design documentation, because it's hard for a team to qualify only in the pool and then all of a sudden need to look in retrospect and come up with all that design documentation, which is a third of the points that they're going to receive at the international competition. If you have an opportunity to have that evaluated by your local judges before you pass these teams on to the international competition, you're only going to serve to send forward a stronger set of kids who are going to have a better experience. With that said, if you have the capacity, I think that adding something like a team video submission is a really great thing to do at a regional competition. Or if you're in a region where you've maybe got two competitions, one early in the season and late in the season, maybe the early competition, you have a video submission where the teams have an opportunity to introduce themselves, talk about their strategy, talk about their teamwork, and build those soft skills, those presentation skills, which are really going to serve them when we talk about career connected and durable skills that this program is going to pass along with them. Also, in speaking of making those partnerships and involving the STEM stakeholders in your region, you have the opportunity to have teams go through some expert interviews where they're in person describing their engineering process and talking about their strategy and their teamwork throughout the SeaPerch project and receive questions from these experts. Whether these are actually judged events or not, this is an excellent opportunity for, like I say, the students to develop the soft skills, but really an opportunity to show off what the SeaPerch program is and what the students and educators and mentors are doing in your community to these experts that are in industries and connected spaces within your community. A lot of times, a lot of this kind of flies under the radar. We live it and breathe it every day as educators and mentors. However, this is a great opportunity to showcase those. And I just hear great feedback from students and from the expert judges when they have that opportunity to have kind of a interview interaction. Even if these are informal interviews, you've got a captured audience for the day, half a day, however long your regional is going. encourage those experts and volunteers who are there to engage the students and talk to them a little bit, because really these experiences are what are building those soft skills, those durable skills that are going to make them stronger in their college career or their workforce days. In terms of the obstacle course, we all know the 5-ring course, where you're starting either from the wall or from the ship portal on the side of the pool deck. You're traversing through the 5 rings, surfacing, coming back through. Here it's shown in the blueprints, suspended from the lane lines on either side. This is fantastic, and it gives a great view of the hoops and everything. But depending on your pool, you may not even have lane lines to hang them from. This takes a little while to set up and a little skill in your in-water team to set up as well. So there are some options there, which I'll show you, to set up your obstacle course differently and perhaps not even have to get in the water. Some tips and tricks that I can share with you. One of the challenges is if you're setting up multiple obstacle courses, and typically we would set up at least 3, maybe 5 at our regionals, is to get them all equally spaced from the wall. When you're setting up your regional, of course, you don't want to inadvertently give anybody an advantage or disadvantage. All of your courses should be identical and as close to the international rules as possible. One of the ways to ensure that is using a 5 or 6 foot stick of PVC cut to length that your divers or swimmers installing the course can actually utilize to space that course from the pool wall to the start of your obstacle course. This ensures that all of your obstacle courses exactly the same distance from the wall, and therefore you're not going to have any variability in your times of your students going through, because they've got to travel a little bit further to get to that first ring, or perhaps run out of Cat 5 cable to get through that 5th ring and get to the surface and come back. I've got a great rapid deploy obstacle course modification that we figured out over the years that really helps not only set up quickly, but transport and store your obstacle courses a little bit more easily. I've got a bag to show you as well that we use to store and transport our courses around. And then I'm going to share this inversion technique that we use. So here we've got 2 videos playing simultaneously. We got this inspiration from tent poles that have the elastic in them. I remember growing up setting up tent poles before that technology was really out there, at least in the tents that I could afford. And you're searching to try to fit pipe A into pipe B into pipe C and so forth. So what we did here is order a spool of elastic bungee, about 1/8 of an inch bungee off Amazon. And we run this through the PVC sections, put it under a little bit of tension, and clamp before we attach the last piece, put it on a little tension, clamp it with a set of locking pliers, put it through the last section and tie a knot. And this allows us to deploy and fold up our obstacle courses in less than a minute without losing any pieces. So this is really great. Once they are all folded back up, we use these Velcro straps, kind of similar to what you might find on your laptop power cord. You can order those off Amazon as well, or vendor of your choice, to tidy up your obstacle courses. Like I say, we made a partnership between the 3 major districts in our area. And we travel with these, or we send these obstacle courses in bags from one county to another. So the way we do this is we come together on a day of service, often Martin Luther King Day or a day like that, where everybody kind of has off. We build a set of 5 or 6 courses together, and then we distributed them to the counties. So the counties each have some courses that they can practice with their schools, and then we bring them all together for each county's regional and send them along the way. So these are some nice big bags that we found on Amazon. We zip tie up those courses, and that's actually a set of I think 5 courses in a bag that can easily go in a trunk. $24 for those bags. All right, inverted obstacle course. So I can't take full credit for this. In fact, one of the first regional competitions I attended back in, I think, maybe 2011, SeaPerch was, or RoboNation was inverting the courses like this in that pool. But this is great because you can actually put together these courses and deploy them right from the water. You don't even need a swimmer to get these out and deployed. We anchored these to the lane lines or to the side of the pool where lane lines weren't available to make sure that they were all even after we measured them out from the wall. While there's does give a little bit of an impedance to sighting the rings, it really does work in some pool setups. You're not as lucky as others, but this is the method that we used. Really wants to send me to that Amazon link. All right. The mission course. One of the things that I want to point out here about the mission course, especially for those of you who may be fairly new to hosting regionals, these base sets here that you see on these platforms, this is kind of a fairly new introduction to SeaPerch. The mission course used to be independent elements every year and used to change quite a bit. A few years ago, they made the decision to base everything off of these mission bases, which is just fantastic as somebody who hosts regional competitions. These bases stay the same year to year, so that as elements are changed on the mission course year to year, the bases stay the same, but always depend on that standardized base. This really cuts down on the construction from year to year that you need to do to be able to host a regional with the proper mission course that will be the same or similar to what's going to be offered at the international competition. So this is really great. When you go through the build guide, really take your time to construct those bases well, exactly to the specifications, and they're going to serve you well year after year. Notice here, again, the mission course is designed to be suspended from lane lines at the international competition, and elements that fall beyond the bases typically are considered out of bounds. You may choose at your regional to set this up in the shallow end of the pool. This not only gives you an opportunity that you can just use swimmers instead of divers or waders to reset your elements. You can even use a extendable boat hook to perhaps rescue stranded ROVs or tangled ROVs, or even reset the course. This also gives an opportunity for the students to get a little bit better view at the mission course. The regional really is designed as a stepping stone to get them to that international competition. I do feel strongly that regional courses should mimic the international competition as closely as possible. And if you do make any rule modifications, that you do make students acutely aware that that is a difference than they will face at the international competition. I can tell you from experience, I was a mentor as well, team mentor, as well as running these regionals. And one year, our local regional did not offer the international uh, mission course. And when we took our students to the internationals, they did move on and qualify at one of the regionals. They were woefully underprepared, and their engineering was so much different because they never actually encountered and got to interact with those mission elements for that year. And right away, before they even run, they realized they didn't have a shot at it just because the way it was engineered. So I think it really is important to build those mission elements like they're outlined year to year in the build guide. So some little tips and tricks here. I mentioned about really constructing those bases well, really double checking your measurements, having nice straight cuts so that they will fit those elements year in, year out. You can tell that the PVC here, if you can, on the picture, is a little bit yellow because these have been reused year in, year out. However, we've got these side things on clips. These are saddle clips that can go onto that PVC, and this allows us to fold the elements flat for storage and packing into a car or a van to be transported back to storage or back to another regional. But if you do need to disassemble them or if they do come apart, notice we use colored electrical tape to color code the elements and where they plug in on these mission bases. This really allows you to use volunteers who may not be as familiar with the setup to go ahead and do that rough setup of the mission course elements on the pool deck fairly independently because we're just matching colors and plugging stuff in. And then you can go around and quickly check those elements where they get deployed in the water. To weight these down, regardless of whether you're suspending them from the lane lines or you want them on the bottom of the pool, we use rebar inside of the PVC to weight them down. On the mission course, we've tried many things over the years, everything from bricks to lead weights that a diver might use, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, we take rebar, we dip them in Flex Seal, and they really work great year in, year out. One caution, especially if you don't dip them in Flex Seal, don't leave any of that rebar on the pool because you could have some corrosion staining in the bottom of the pool if they're left in there for a couple days. As I mentioned before, we like to deploy that first frame close enough to the pool side that you can use that extendable boat hook to help reset elements and rescue any ROVs that are having problems. These animations, I don't know if you've seen them or not. A SeaPerch alum actually started to put together these animations. One of the things we like to do is when we assign our volunteer judges, we'll assign specific judges to the obstacles course side, specific judges to the mission course side, and really take a few minutes to do a judge's training on each one of them. Go through all of the rules, the different scenarios where teams might get tangled up on a hoop and require diver assistance, really go through with them what they should do on the timer. Typically, if a team calls for diver assistance, we'll have them stop the stopwatch, wait until we can get a diver over there where they're not interfering with other teams who might be running, have them, untangle the ROV or whatever needs to be accomplished. And then on the judges count, 3, 2, 1, restart that stopwatch, allow the team to finish, and then notate that diver assistance 2-minute penalty on the score sheet. But we use these mission course.
Welcome to the 2026 SeaPerch mission course, and this year's theme, Storm Response. Inclement weather has disrupted vital infrastructure. Your SeaPerch has been tasked with surveying the scene, conducting repairs, collecting samples, and relocating wildlife. Here's the breakdown. The course consists of 2 task frames in the surface vessel, with challenges spread throughout. Your ROV must start the run surfaced within the outline of the surface vessel. You have 8 minutes to complete the following tasks, which can be done in any order. Task 1. Inspect the bridge. Your ROV must retrieve the floating red marker and place it on the hook directly below. It will have to release the floating green marker from its hook. Finally, it will push the cover pipe to the left until the red marking is completely covered. Partial points will be earned if the red marking is partially covered. Task 2. Survey the dam. Your ROV must take the plug from the surface vessel and insert it into the hole at the bottom of the slanted dam wall. It will rotate the floodgate cover to fully close the dam. Task 3. Clear the debris field. Your ROV must relocate the marine life to the back platform. It will then have to collect the heavy debris, bring it to the surface vessel, and hang it on one of the hooks. Task 4. Sample the water quality. Your ROV must lift the water sampler by the rope to close it. Finally, it will place the sampler on one of the surface vessel's hooks. End of run. The run is over when the ROV resurfaces within the outline of the surface vessel or when time expires. Bonus points are awarded if all tasks are completed within 4 minutes or 6 minutes. As a reminder, any game piece that falls below the task frames during the run is out of play and cannot be retrieved. If you want to learn more about SeaPerch, you can go to their website, seaperch.org. For the complete guide to this year's mission course, check out the 2026 Team Handbook. Both are linked in the description. The 2026 International.
So really fantastic video. We generally encourage the teams to go ahead and pull that up on their personal devices and watch that as well. Teams should, already reviewed the rules. However, you never know. They might have a first-year mentor that didn't steer them in the right direction. So it's really good for them to know what's expected of them on that run, and it really cuts down the questions on your judges that then have to call over the technical director and answer those. Also, even with the best of intentions, when you're building your courses, you're probably going to come up with some hiccups. A year or so ago, when we were collecting gases from the thermal vents with the cups, we ran into a couple hiccups there where we weren't getting even bubble rate on all of our courses, that we had to do a little bit of adjustment. We had to be a little bit flexible there. We had a situation where the hot glue on our cups, when they had been in a hot car and then introduced to a cooler pool, was allowing bubbles to escape from the cups. And we had to be flexible on site and just decide that the mission was accomplished if they could drop that cup on the thermal vent itself. It wasn't ideal. It didn't match exactly what happened at internationals, but the spirit of the mission was there, and we had clear communication with the teams what the expectation would be of them once they got on to the international stage. So this is probably the most useful thing that you're going to encounter today. Each one of these, when we make this presentation available, are clickable links. And we've made these, this is Alan and I put these together. These will copy, will force you to make a copy so that you own the document. Okay, this is great because we don't need 150 copies of each of these documents in our Google Drives, and you will be able to access them without emailing asking us for them, right? But it comes with a caveat. You will become the owner of this document, which means you'll have full edit access. And there's unfortunately no way in Google Docs to completely protect the formula in there. So danger, there be dragons ahead in some of these if you edit some of the columns. But rather than just having PDF documents offered on the SeaPerch site, these are actually fillable forms that you can deploy for your regional, so that you've got a regional registration form. Notice it's going to force me to make a copy. Now I own this document, and it opens up, so I can go ahead and customize this to my region up here. But this Google form will build a spreadsheet so you can publish this link out to the folks in your region, and they can register for your tournament. You'll have all their information digitally. We've got a technical design report submission form. Similarly, you'll become the owner of this document once you make the copy, and you can put all these, organize them in a folder in your Google Drive. So this is going to allow you to exactly have your team captain's email, team name, school name, coach's name, etc., and a public link. Now, you may need to stress to your local teams that they need to make this link anybody with the link can view, because a lot of school districts limit by default. Google may limit by default when you share a link that it's only accessible by the person directly you share it with. So you have to open up to the public, otherwise the judges won't be able to click and look at that digital version of the technical design report. We've got a volunteer registration form here, which is great as well. Team video submission form, if you choose to have team video submissions, and then this regional score sheet. This regional score sheet is fantastic because everything is baked in. So as you enter your team information here, it's going to automatically populate those on your technical design reports. It's going to allow you to fill in the points, the minutes and seconds of the run for your mission courses, your minutes and seconds of your obstacle runs, and the technical design report scores are automatically going to be populated on over. This is automatically going to rank your teams for each event and make figuring out your awards a lot easier. Alan is traveling today, so he's not with us on this call. However, he recorded this yesterday to give us an overview.
Hello, my name is Alan Phipps, and I'm the Education Impact Manager here at RoboNation. Wanted to go over this resource that I created for you guys, the SeaPerch Regional Qualifier Tournament Score Sheet. If you take a look, there are two tabs. There's the Results tab, which is your main tab, and then there's also the Technical Design Report tab for entering your judges' scores. If you enter team names and school names in the Results tab, those are going to automatically populate for you in the same order here on the Technical Design Reports tab. So let's go back here and go over. The green columns are ones that need to be edited. The yellow columns have complex formulas in them that I would recommend that you not touch. I can't lock those if I share this with you. So once you become the owner of the document through the copy process, the document is yours. So it won't lock these columns. So keep that in mind. If you want to save the formulas and they work for you, then make sure that you don't edit the things that come up in the yellow columns. And the same is true on the technical design reports. This populates for you so long as you don't mess with the formulas that are in the cells. This over here is automatically going to calculate your average and send it to the Results tab. So make sure you don't mess with the formulas in those yellow columns. Okay, if we take a look, let's put some scores in as if we were running a tournament, and say this team got 76 points. They're going to automatically be ranked first because it's the first team that we've entered. Say they did that in 8 minutes and 0 seconds. Say the next team also got 76 points. They're going to be tied for first automatically until we enter a time. And once we enter that time, then the formulas are going to use time as the tiebreaker. And let's go ahead and enter in another couple of scores here just to give us a few to look at. Okay. So you notice that it's ranking by score first, by points, and then using time as the tiebreaker. And so highlighted green is our first place, yellow is second place, third is red. All the other numbers are not going to be highlighted. That's just to help you identify quickly who's first, second, and third in each of the mission, obstacle, and technical design reports. If you're trying to do certificates or trophies on the same day as we do. We like teams to leave the tournaments with hardware in hand. Let's enter in some times for our obstacle course. So say this team did the obstacle course in 4 minutes flat. Again, they're the first team that we entered, so they're going to automatically come in second, come up first. You must enter seconds. So notice I just put in 2 minutes, but until I do some seconds in there, it's not going to populate the rank. Let's put in, this team did it in under a minute, so let's do 59 seconds. And this team also did it in under a minute. All right, and you can see how those ranked. We do not yet have an overall ranking in the overall in column S yet because we still need to add technical design reports. That's where we go over to this other tab. And if you'll read the note right here in column B, a minimum of 3 judges' scores must be entered to calculate the average. If 5 judges' scores are entered, the highest and lowest scores will be dropped. So that's a way to try and normalize scores. So if you've got a really strict score and a really lenient score, you have a huge impact on the average score. So, say these 3 judges were in agreement, but this judge and this judge were not. So it's dropping that highest and lowest score to give you a score of 88. Let's go ahead and enter in a couple of others. I'm going to just do 4 scores or 3 scores. And okay. And then if we go back to our results section, notice that it has pulled those averages over. It has ranked those for us. And now that we do have ranked scores for technical design report, obstacle report, and mission, it's given us our overall ranking here in the final column. One other thing that does happen, it is very rare, but it does happen, is for you to have a tie in your sum of rankings scores. And what the rule is that the tiebreaker is whoever did the obstacle course fastest. So if we put in a score of 48 seconds here, you'll notice that both the Rover Cats Delta and the Aquamania teams both have a tie of 8 sum of rankings points. But who did the obstacle course fastest? Aquamarine did it in 48 seconds, and the Rover Cats Delta did it 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And so the formula is automatically breaking the tie for you so that you have a clear first, second, and third place winners in order to be able to hand out trophies. I hope this helps you have a fantastic qualifying event. And thanks from us at RoboNation. Take care.
All right, thanks, Alan. I'll tell you, this was such a game changer when we really figured this out. Perhaps some of you had had this same experience where, there was an error in scoring and you had to send out an email later in the week and say, oh gosh, we got second and third place mixed up because we overlooked something or whatnot. This really changed the game and allowed us to have those award ceremonies while there's a group of people in the community there to cheer on those teams who are going to be carrying the torch for your region onto the international stage. So these are really fantastic resources that we're real proud of to be sharing that we developed over the years. These, of course, are links to the PDF score sheets that you would be using while we've discussed down here in South Florida, moving things to a cell phone or an app or something for scoring at the lanes, try to speed things along. Sometimes it's really nice to have that paper trail. A few tips that I would have when you're filling out these forms is to really make sure that the judge writes their name so that if there are any questions that you can go back to the specific person, identify the judge that was on the lane for that score sheet and clarify those questions, that the team writes their school and team name very clearly. You may want to assign team numbers depending on what your region looks like. It's not too uncommon for schools to come to you with team one, team two, team three, team Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and you've got 2 teams that have the same naming strategy. So you really want to make sure that you identify them. As part of our judges training, we also ask that the judges go over the score sheet with the driver and tether operator there at the lane side and they go ahead and initial those score sheets that they understand, and we're explaining them, and then that those are run over to the scoring judge. It's really important to us that the students really are self-advocating and understanding what's going on in these tournaments, that it's not a discussion necessarily between the technical director of the tournament and the coaches, because we like to avoid any heated arguments, between members of the STEM community. And really, it's all about building those soft skills, those durable skills of the students, and increasing their confidence and their opportunities to interact with adults, to self-advocate, speak up for themselves, form, an argument, explain themselves, etc. So, don't overlook these just little parts of running your tournament that are going to make it a more enriching experience for all. So these documents are here for you, as are the QR codes that will take you. Of course, all of these can be found right on seaperch.org. I noticed a couple questions on the chat. Where can we find those specific build guides? That PDF is released every year around September, between September and November, for the build guide for those elements. Those elements are being constructed or designed by our technical director for the SeaPerch tournament every year, and put out in that build guide. There are occasionally addendums to the build guide as issues come up during the year, or realize that we need to make some small adjustments out there. So always refer back to that build guide to make sure that nothing has changed. Same goes for the handbook. We've got the competition website for the particular year there as well, and a really great resource, how to host a regional competition. I think a lot of the resources that we're going to share here today are going to be transferred over onto that site very soon as well. Here are a couple other helpful hints that I didn't find a place to include in one of the other pages. One of the things that we tried over the years, of course, were assigning teams to particular lanes and particular time slots. But in the reality of running a tournament, having technical hiccups, teams that show up late, missing a kid, missing a controller, missing a battery, whatever they may be, we moved to a hurry-up style tournament. And we were able to run through 25, 30 teams in a half a day comfortably in a hurry up style. So what that means is, once everybody is checked in, we've got our judges deployed out to the lanes ready to go, that it's a first come, first serve, and we're actively encouraging teams to be in queue and ready to go in each one of those lanes. To make sure that is just rolling, one of our strategies is to have a volunteer assigned just to run score sheets. And if it's a busier tournament, maybe one that's on one side of the pool running score sheets for the obstacle course, and one running for the mission course. What this means is they're addressing the judges at each of the lanes, asking if they have any completed score sheets. They collect those score sheets from the judges and then bring them over to your scoring judge, who's entering things in on that dynamic Google sheet. What this does is it not only gets those scores in there quickly, but it also keeps your judges on those lanes and keeping those lanes hot and cooking, so that you guys can get through those tournaments nice and quickly and really reduce your volunteer fatigue. One of the things I like to point out about getting diverse volunteers from industry, from other school districts, from ROTC, wherever you can get them besides just school district folks. Those school district folks are called on a lot. This is, very often not their only STEM competition of the year. They're giving up one weekend after another. So we really try to focus on running these regional competitions as efficiently as possible, so that those folks can go and enjoy some, chicken wings and hummus and their bowling league in the afternoon, or whatever else is going on. So to keep that rolling, we've got those volunteers running those score sheets back to the judges. And we put together a whiteboard where we list all of our teams on each side, obstacle course and mission course, for this hurry up format. And as those score sheets come back with that score runner, we cross off that team's name for whatever event we have the score sheet from. So if we're getting a score sheet from the obstacle course, Team Alpha gets crossed out. As we get mission course, Team Charlie gets crossed out. That way we can quickly refer to this whiteboard and say, oh gosh, Team Sigma, you haven't competed at all. What's the problem? Do you need help with your ROV? Can you please work your way to the lane? And that way we can go ahead and keep that tournament moving and get everything done. I mentioned it before, using a boat hook. If you've got your your mission courses set up in the shallow end, it's a little bit cropped out here, but you can actually get to either side of this mission course from either side of the pool. This happened to have been a small pool that we were utilizing that year from a marine industry partner, in fact. Another big one is holding areas for your divers and swimmers. So this would be an area that you do have a lane line or something dividing your volunteer swimmers or divers from the rest of the course. What can happen, of course, is all that activity with the fins and the bubbles and so forth really affects the surface quality and can inadvertently cause a disadvantage condition for a team if they've got, let's say, a diver holding in their lane or hanging on a lane line or something like that. Those ripples can really interfere with their ability to see. And, we've got a couple teams that are really close to each other. Obstacle course, for instance, you got a lot of teams hitting that minute and a half mark, or at a really competitive event, hitting that, 35, 40, 45-second mark. Those extra ripples can really make a difference. And, I hate to ever see a team leave with hard feelings because of a situation caused by one of your volunteers. The same goes for when you're setting up your pool event. Kind of look around. If it's a pool you're not familiar with, make sure you're not setting up your mission course or an obstacle course real close to a vent that might be returning pool water from the pump and causing a current situation, which is going to make it difficult for your team to maintain station keeping of their ROV when they're trying to accomplish that mission with finite control. So just really be aware of your surroundings there. Just like we have a really good training with our mission course judges, with our obstacle course judges, we like to get our volunteer divers and swimmers together and brief them about how important their role is. We like to, of course, make sure that when a diver's called, rather than just sending them right away, that we make sure that they're not going to cross over the course of another team that's running. We kind of wait for a break in the action, then we bring our divers in. On the mission course, we typically will give them those 8 or 10 minutes, all the teams at once that are running in however many lanes we have set up, to go ahead and finish their run before we send divers in to start resetting those courses. That way we don't have swimmers or divers crossing over other teams, distracting them, possibly giving another team a disadvantage as they're helping a third team. This is a big one for me, the technical check-in, and it's one that's easy to overlook. You expect that the teams are coming in with ROVs that are ready to run, but it's really not something to be left for an afterthought. A little tough love at the beginning of the competition is really an opportunity that's just going to strengthen the experience for that team throughout the day. First and foremost, we want to make sure that all teams are coming in with safe practices. We don't want a situation where we're going to have a short circuit on a battery or a prop, a 3D printed prop that's sharp and going to potentially hurt somebody or a tether, something like that. Another big thing is to really know and understand the rules for stock class of a particular gear and open class. Sometimes we see teams come in, and I never want to rain on a team that is trying to be creative and go out there and utilize 3D printing and 3D design practices and get innovative with their craft. However, at the same time, I don't want to take that team and pass them on the international competition and where they're going to face a technical check-in and realize all of a sudden they're not allowed to be in the stock class with that particular ROV because they say they might have 3D printed joints that are holding their ROV together. And in the rules for last year and this year, you can't have 3D printing that's integral to the frame. You can have 3D printing that's an accessory to the frame, right? But it can't actually be the frame or integral to the frame in stock class. So I like to point things out like that to teams. Perhaps their tether might be in danger of getting cut or damaged by their props if it's not properly what we call stress relieved to the ROV frame. So that Cat 5 cable, their tether, should be firmly attached to the frame. So I always have zip ties available and ready there for them. I give teams a given period of time that they can bring their ROV into compliance. Sometimes, or often I'll have a little bucket of extra PVC fittings. So if they did come with 3D printed fittings, they can swap those out for regular PVC fittings and they can fit into stock class. Or go ahead and encourage that team to go into open class. But warn them, hey, in open class, there's no budget. You can have more than 3 motors. And if you really are going to take on open class, you may want to really think through your design and the other kind of competitors you're going to be up against. This is a great opportunity to interact with the teams, question them on their engineering design process, and make sure you're going to identify technical problems before they get in the water. This may be the first in-water test for teams. I see that every year. I'm surprised that, maybe they just finished the project right before the regional, or they're just at a school that doesn't have a pool that's close by. So you want to be a little bit critical of their craft before they get in the water. A lot of things that we see at the technical table when we check in, reversed motors where you've got your right and your left crisscrossed, or you've got your Z-axis motor, the one on those momentary switches at the top of your controller in place of a right or a left motor. Poor electrical connections that are intermittent, that they're working. We always have a soldering station available at the triage station. Poor PVC fitment, a frame that's just frankly ready to fall apart. That might be just as simple as, knocking it together with a soft blow hammer and making sure all those connections are together. It might be a question of you've got a PVC cut that's at an angle, or a piece of PVC that's not quite long enough to truly seat in that PVC fitting. There's lots of ways that you can go about making those fitments a little bit better, be it adding a little bit of electrical tape, putting in a set screw, adding a little bit of adhesive. Just, you want to make sure that that team isn't going to get in the water and their ROV is going to fall apart. We say fail early, fail often. Failures are a pathway to learning. But of course, we don't want to have a team get to your regional and then have a bad experience and be soured to their whole SeaPerch journey. Props ready to fall off. There's kind of 2 ways that can happen. That could be just a poor adhesion from the prop shaft extension onto the motor shaft. That could be an effect of them not roughing up that motor shaft a little bit, ensuring that there's some surface area for that CA glue in the SeaPerch kit to adhere onto there. Or perhaps they didn't drive that nylon nut onto that prop shaft extension far enough to where those threads are biting into that nylon piece on that nylon nut. So keep an eye out for those because hunting for propellers and propeller shafts at the bottom of the pool is quite a challenge for swimmers and divers, and certainly will take a SeaPerch team out of the competition. If you can head that off the tech table, it's just going to serve to take the load off your judges, off your divers, and have that team have a better experience. Tethers without stress relief, the props in danger of damaging a tether, make sure that those are anchored out of the way. Also, inadequate insulation on battery clips. This happens more often than you might think, where a team comes in and they've got 2 raw metal alligator clips without the rubber boots on there. And, while they're really into their mission course or obstacle course, and they're pulling on their controller right and left, those alligator clips can come into contact with each other and release a lot of angry pixies all at once. And you've got a short circuit situation that's going to, at best, blow the fuse in the SeaPerch controller, maybe damage the wiring, or even kind of have a spot weld situation. And it's going to be pretty dramatic when it happens. So I want to make sure that those rubber boots are slid on to those alligator clips all the way. If not, certainly have some electrical tape handy to deal with those. Something else we also like to have is a kind of a triage, either table or triage bag for their ROVs, and maybe have some common things to help teams fix their ROVs. Anything from electro tape or zip ties. A common thing to see also is flotation that's not properly secured to the craft. So they get down there and they dive down to the mission course, and part of their buoyancy pops off. A little bit of electrical tape or zip tie can really save some heartache for a team. Of course, having a soldering station, some extra wax, maybe some extra motors, propellers, prop shaft extensions, CA glue. As a little tip, baking soda is an accelerant for CA glue. So having a little bit of baking soda, or baking soda in a solution of water that you then spray on what you're trying to glue, will kick off that CA glue almost instantly, and help you with some pool deck repairs there as well. Having one or two known to be good control boxes is really great. You might want to even just reach out to your community and ask that your mentors bring some control boxes, especially your mentors have been doing this a couple of years. Bring some control boxes some extra ones that they know work, just in case you've got a team that maybe did some poor soldering, or had some issues with a control box. You could loan them a control box. Do label those by all means, so that those loan control boxes do come home to roost. Just to make you aware, we've got a coaches kickoff April 30th. So these are for coaches who are bringing teams on to the International Challenge. So we'll have a little webinar to talk a little bit of the ins and outs about bringing teams to International Challenge. I see some questions coming up here in the chat. Let me see if I can address some of those. Chief Mac is asking where organizations come up with the novel obstacle designs that we see on YouTube, but not in the build guides for SeaPerch. Who comes up with those plans? Well, right now, Dutch Holland is our technical director for SeaPerch, along with our product team, come up with those elements. Again, one of the nice things for the last 5 or 6 years is we've had some carryover from year to year with obstacles. So if you're building these obstacles the way that they're listed in the build guide, they may not come up next year, or 2 or 3 years, you might be able to reach back in your bag of tricks and an old obstacle can come back out. How can I locate a mentor for myself to guide me in running a successful event? Well, there's a list of all the registered regionals on the SeaPerch.org site. You can reach out to people running those other tournaments. I suggest, maybe if you can, go over and visit another tournament and see one in action, or reach out to our staff here at RoboNation, and we can set up to help support you. Make sure that you're going to have a successful regional competition. Can you publish some winning technical design reports from international previous years? Yeah, absolutely. Those are already published. Those are on the site on the 2026 challenge page. There's some great examples of technical design reports. One of the best tips that I can give mentors and teams is to go ahead and keep a proper engineering design notebook. I always had my teams, and this is really a daily habit for me, use these composition design books, and they make a version that is graph paper. And I think those are really great because you can, your students can sketch those designs in there and take notes. And it's really difficult for a team to look back, 3, 4, 5 months and try to recreate their brainstorm that they had back then after watching several thousand YouTube shorts between then and now. So if they're keeping an authentic engineering notebook as they go and making notations about their design process, it's going to really feed into making a powerful technical design report. Greg Kane says, this is great. I wish it was earlier in the year. The good news, this is recorded and on our YouTube page, so you can go back and watch this for next year. Is there a GitHub for SeaPerch? There's not a GitHub for SeaPerch because GitHub is mostly for source code and so forth. While I do certainly support teams and programs digging a little bit deeper into that technical side and maybe doing some programming and inclusion of Raspberry Pis, Arduinos in their control boxes and going into open class. There's not a specific GitHub. Is this score sheet format used in internationals? Well, the print score sheets are certainly used in internationals. This specific spreadsheet has not. There's the behind the green curtain. There's certainly a system for recording all of these scores, but the rubrics certainly are followed. And those scoring sheets are up and available on the website. Are there any other questions out there? Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to leave you with this. This QR code will take you to the document how to host a regional competition, which might answer any of those lingering questions that might come up after we're done with this webcast. And I certainly thank you all for joining and really, truly from my heart, being a part of the SeaPerch community. I know for me, this was a huge part. SeaPerch was a huge part of my evolution in STEM and building a STEM program and now landing at RoboNation. It is a fantastic program that is so flexible, whether you're implementing SeaPerch in the classroom, after school club, community organization, community college. Right now, believe it or not, my daughter in college is doing a SeaPerch project with her intro to engineering class, which is just incredible. So I really and truly thank all of you for investing in your students and investing in the community and being part of this wonderful world of SeaPerch and RoboNation. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Katie.
That was incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you all for attending today. This was an incredible session. Again, it's being recorded, so if you want to come back and visit at any time, please feel free. One quick housekeeping item before we close. I wanted to share that we are now accepting applications for technical design report reviewers for the International SeaPerch Challenge. This is a compensated contract position, and if you would like more information, please email me at kcloth@robonation.org. Again, thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We are so thrilled that you were here. Thank you, and enjoy your day.